Today we're going to talk about financial position and cash flow. The first one is statement of financial position. The statement of financial position, or commonly called balance sheet, shows that a company's assets, liabilities, and equity at a specific date to help users evaluate its financial position and future cash flow potential. The usefulness of the statement of financial position. The first one is liquidity. It is the ability to meet short-term obligations. The second one is solvency. It is the ability to pay long-term debts. And the third one is financial flexibility. It is the ability to unexpected needs and opportunities. With higher liquidity, solvency, and flexibility, it means that the company have lower financial risk. While the limitation of the statement of financial position is, the first one is historical cost reporting, then use of estimates and judgments, and the last one is omission of intangible assets and of balance sheet items. Then we are moving to talk about classification in the statement of financial position. The statement of financial position grouping the similar items into meaningful classification to highlight important relationships and subtitles. The AISB, or International Accounting Standards Board, discourages that reporting only summary totals and instead requires sufficient detail so user can better evaluate liquidity, financial flexibility, profitability, risk, and future cash flows. Companies classify items based on difference in first assets and liabilities with different general liquidity characteristics. The second one is assets that differ in their expected function in the company's central operations or other activities. The third one is liabilities that differ in their amounts, nature, and time. The statement of financial position. The first is asset. Asset is a present economic resource controlled by the entity as a result of past events. The second one is liability. It is a present of obligation of the entity to transfer an economic resource as a result of past events. And the third one is equity. It is the residual interest in the assets of the entity after deducting all its liabilities. The picture on the right side shows that assets. It has non-current assets such as investments, property, plant and equipment, intangible assets, and other assets. And then it has current assets. The equity and liabilities. The equity, it has share capital, share premium, retained earnings, accumulated other comprehensive income, and non-controlling interest, while the non-current liabilities and current liabilities. The non-current assets, also called long-term assets, are assets that a company does not expect to convert into cash, sell, or use up within 1 year or one operating cycle, whichever is longer. The first of the non-current assets is long-term investments. Long-term investment, or often called simply investment, are assets that a company intends to hold for more than 1 year. They usually include investments in securities, it is bonds, ordinary shares, or long-term notes, and then tangible assets not used in operations, for example, land held for speculation. Then the third one is special purpose funds. It is sinking funds, pension funds, or planned expansion funds. The fourth one is investment in non-consolidated subsidiaries or associate companies. Companies group debt and equity investments divided into three categories for evaluation and reporting. The first one is held for collection or debt securities, and it is reported as amortized cost. The second one is trading. It is a debt and equity securities. It is reported as current assets at fair value. And the last one is non-trading equity securities that will be reported at fair value. Company reports trading securities, both debt and equity, as current assets because they are held for short-term resale. Held for collection, debt securities and non-trading equity securities are classified as current or non-current depending on the circumstances and the company's intention. For measurement, held for collection securities are reported at amortized cost, while all trading and non-trading equity securities are reported at fair value. Here's the example of the long-term investment in the Christian Dior company. Second one of non-current asset is property, plant, and equipment. It is a tangible long-term assets that used in a company's normal operations. They include physical items such as land, buildings, machinery, furniture, tools, and natural resources. Except for land, these assets are either depreciated like building and machinery or depleted like oil and mineral resources over their useful lives. On the right side, it is shown the property, building, and equipment from Ion Company. The third one from non-current asset is intangible assets. It is non-physical assets like patents, trademarks, or copyrights. Limited life intangible are amortized over their useful or legal life, while indefinite life intangibles are tested for impairment. R&D costs are usually expensed, except certain development costs that are capitalized when future benefits are probable. And the last one of the non-current assets is other assets. It is include that don't fit main asset categories such as long-term prepaid expenses, non-current receivables, special funds, property held for sale, and restricted cash. This section should only contain unusual items clearly different from other classified assets. It is the picture that shows about the intangible asset of Nokia Corporation.
So next classification is current asset. So basically this is a cash or other asset company expect to convert into cash, sell it or consume either in 1 year operating cycle. And company expect to convert an asset into cash or use it to pay it current liabilities in operating cycle. And there are divided into 5 parts. Current asset, the first is inventory. This is to present inventory properly. A company disclose the basis of valuation. Next is receivable. So company must disclose expected losses from uncollectible accounts, and they should identify non-trade receivable and receivable tagged as collateral. So this is must be shown in balance sheet or in notes, and receivable from unusual transaction should be classified as long-term and unless collection expected within 1 year. So next is prepaid expense. For the classification, prepaid expense are current asset if the benefit will receive within 1 year in operating cycle, because if it's not prepaid, they would require cash payment during that period. Number 4 is short-term investment. This is trading securities, debt or equity, always reported as current assets. And non-trading investment classified as current or non-current depend on the circumstance. And the last one is cash. Cash generally considered to consist of currency and demand deposit. Cash equivalents are short-term, highly liquid investment that will mature within 3 months, and company must report under the caption cash and equivalents. So next classification is equity. They are divided into 6 parts. The first is share capital, the par value of share issues, and then the second is share premium, the excess amount of paid in over the par of state value, and the third is retained earnings, the company undistributed earnings, and the number 4 is accumulated other comprehensive income, the aggregate amount of the other comprehensive income statement, and number 5 treasury sales, amount of ordinary share repurchase, and the last one is non-controlling interest, a portion of equity of subsidiaries not owned by reporting company. It's non-current liabilities that obligation expect to be settled within 1 year operating cycle. They are divided into 3 parts. The financing obligation like bonds, and for the operational obligation like deferred taxes, and for the contingent it's warranties. And for the current liabilities, it's expect to be settled within company normal operating cycle in 1 year. They are divided into three parts: the payable from operation, like accounts payable, and then unearned revenues, like rent received, and then for the other short-term obligation, like the next is preparation of statement financial position. The first is account form. In left side there are assets, and on the right side there are equity and liabilities. And for the report form, there are list section in above the other, so like in one page.
For the next materials is about statement of cash flow. The primary purpose of statement of cash flow is to provide relevant information about the cash receipts and cash payments of an enterprise during a period. To achieve this, cash flow reports the following. 1. The cash effects of operations during a period. 2. Investing transaction. 3. Financing transaction. And the last one is the net increase or decrease in cash during the period. Then we have content of cash flow. First, operating activities. It involves the cash effects of transaction that enter into the determination of net income. Then investing activities include making and collecting loans and acquiring and disposing of investments, both debt and equity, and property, plant, and equipment. Then financing activities involve liability and equity item. They include A. Obtaining resources from owners and providing them with a return on their investment, and B. Borrowing money from creditors and repaying the amounts borrowed. The picture on the bottom right is the usual format of statement of cash flow. Here we have an example. On January 1, 2022, in its first year of operation, Telemarketing Inc. issued 50,000 ordinary shares of $1 per par value for $50,000 cash. The company rented its office space, furniture, and telecommunication equipment and performed marketing services throughout the first years. In June 2022, the company purchased an land for 15,000. Then the left picture shows the company comparative statements of financial position at the beginning and end of 2022. And right picture is income statement. To prepare cash flow, you need to determine what expenses considered what. So the increase in accounts receivable reflects a non-cash increase of 41,000 in revenues, and the increase in accounts payable reflects a non-cash increase of $12,000 in expenses. These two represent operating activities. Next, the company determines its investing and financing activities. Telemarketing Inc. only investing activity was the land purchase. For financing activities, there is share capital, ordinary increase in $50,000 from the issuance of 50,000 ordinary shares for cash. And then the company paid $14,000 cash in dividends. With this information, you can see the complete version of cash flow in the picture. They have increase in cash amount to $31,000. Next, significant non-cash activities. Not all of a company's significant activities involve cash. Example of significant non-cash activities are issuance of ordinary shares to purchase assets, conversion of bonds into ordinary shares, issuance of debt to purchase assets, or exchange of long-lived assets. Significant financing and investing activities that do not affect cash are not reported in the body of the statement of cash flow. Rather, these activities are in a separate note to the financial statement. Last is usefulness of cash flow. Financial liquidity. Readers of financial statements often assess liquidity by using the current cash debt coverage. It indicates whether the company can pay off its current liabilities from its operations in a given year. Then financial flexibility. The cash debt coverage provides information on financial flexibility. It indicates a company's ability to repay its liabilities from net cash provided by operating activities without having to liquidate the assets employed in its operation. So the next material is additional information.
IFRS require that a complete set of financial statement be presented annually, along with the current year financial statement. Companies must also provide comparative information from the previous period. In other words, a complete set of financial statement and related notes from for 2 years must be reported. A complete set of financial statement comprised with the following. One, a statement of financial position at the end of period. The second one is a statement of comprehensive income for the period to be present either as one single statement of comprehensive income. The second one is a separate income statement and statement of comprehensive income. In this situation, the income statement is present first. Third, a statement of change in equity. Fourth, a statement of cash flow. And fifth, notes comprising a summary of significant accounting policy and other explanatory information. The next material is about notes to the financial statement. Notes are an integral part of reporting financial statement information. Notes can explain in qualitative term information related to specific financial statement items. In addition, they can provide supplemental data of a quantitative nature to expand the information in financial statement. Notes also can explain restriction imposed by financial arrangement or basic contractual agreement. Although notes may be technical and difficult to understand in some cases, they provide meaningful information for the user of the financial statement. Next is about accounting policy. Accounting policy are based on the specific principle, based, convention, rules, and practice applied by a company in preparing and presenting financial information. The IASB recommend disclosure of all significant accounting principles and the methods that involve selecting from among alternative or those that are peculiar to a given industry. So the next one is about special notes. This note related to the company accounting policy. So company use specific notes to discuss item in the financial statement. Judgment must be exercised to identify the important aspect of financial information that need amplification in the notes. In many cases, EIFRS requires specific disclosure. So the note disclosure include item of property, plant and equipment are disarranged into class such as land, building, etc. In the notes with related accumulated this depreciation reported where applicable. Second is receivable are disaggregate into amounts receivable from trade customer, receivable from related parties, prepayment and other amount. Third is inventory are disaggregated into classifications such as merchandise, production supplies, work in progress, and finished good. Fourth is provisions are disaggregated into provision for employee benefit and others item. Next is techniques of disclosure. Company should disclose as completely as possible the effect of various uncertainties on financial condition, the methods of valuing assets and liabilities, and the company contracts and agreements. To disclose this pertinent information, company may use parenthetical explanation and cross-reference on contra item. So the first method is parenthetical explanation. Companies often provide additional information by parenthetical explanation following the item. This addition, pertinent statement of financial position information, add clarity and completeness. It has an advantage over a note because it brings the additional information into the body of the statement where readers will less likely overlook it. Companies, however, should avoid lengthy parenthetical explanation which might be distracting. The second method is cross-reference and contra item. Companies cross-reference a direct relation between an asset and a liability on the statement of financial possession. Another common procedure is to establish contra or adjust account. A contra account on a statement of financial position reduce either an assets, liability, or equity account. Contra can provide some flexibility in presenting the financial information. An adjust account, on the other hand, increase either an asset, liability, or equity account. The last one is other guideline. In addition to the specific related to individual financial statement and notes to this statement, EIS number 1 also address important issue related to presentation. The first one is offsetting. IAS number 1 indicate that it is important that asset and liability and income and expense be reported separately. Otherwise, it may be difficult for users to understand the transaction or event that occurred at the company. The second one is fair presentation. Company must present fairly the financial position, financial performance, and cash flow of the company. Fair presentation means the faithful representation of transaction and event using the definition and recognition criteria in the conceptual framework. It is presumed that the use of IFRS with appropriate disclosure result in financial statements that are fairly presented.
My name is Pio Raditya with my last NPM number 175. And now we are going to talk about ratio analysis. Ratio analysis expresses the relationship among pieces of selected financial statement data in a percentage, a rate, or a simple proportion. Here we have the example of Acer Group in Taiwan, with their asset is 186.391 million new Taiwan dollars and their liabilities is 149.315 million new Taiwan dollars. To get the ratio, we can divide the asset by the liabilities. So by dividing 186.391 and 149.315, we can get 1.25. So the percentage is 125% of current liabilities, and the rate is 1.25 times as great as current liabilities, and the proportion is 1.25 to 1. And then we are going to talk about liquidity ratios, which is one of the ratios kind. It measures of the company's short-term ability to pay its maturing obligations. There are three kinds of these ratios. The first one is current ratio, which the formula is current assets divided by current liabilities. The function is to measure short-term debt paying ability. And the next one, we have quick or acid test ratio. The formula is cash plus short-term investments plus accounts receivable divided by current liabilities. The function is to measure immediate short-term liquidity. And the third one, we have current cash debt coverage. The formula is net cash provided by operating activities divided by average current liabilities. The function is to measure a company's ability to pay off its current liabilities. And then we have activity ratios, which the function is to measures of how effectively the company uses its assets. We have accounts receivable turnover. The formula is net sales divided by average net accounts receivable, and the function is to measure liquidity of receivables. And the next one, we have inventory turnover, with the formula is cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. The function is to measure the liquidity of inventory. And the last one, you have asset turnover, which the formula is net sales divided by average total assets. And the function is to measure how efficiently assets are used to generate sales. And then we have profitability ratios, two measures of the degree of success or failure of a given company or division for a given period of time. The first one, we have profit margin or sales, which the formula is net income divided by net sales, and it measures net income generated by each dollar of sales. And we have return on assets. The formula is net income divided by average total assets, two measures of profitability of assets. And then we have return on share capital, ordinary. The formula is net income minus preference dividends divided by average shareholders' equity, ordinary. And it measures profitability of owners' investments. Then we have earnings per share. The formula is net income minus preference dividends divided by weighted average ordinary shares outstanding. It measures net income earned on each ordinary share. Then we have price earnings ratio. The formula is market price of share divided by earnings per share, and the function is to measure the ratio of the market price per share to earnings per share. And then we have payout ratio. The formula is cash dividends divided by net income, and the function is measures percentage of earnings distributed in the form of cash dividends. Last one, we have coverage ratios, two measures of the degree of production for long-term creditors and investors. We have debt to asset ratio. The formula is total liabilities divided by total assets, two measures the percentage of total assets provided by creditors. And then we have times interest earned, which is earned by net income plus interest expense plus income tax expense divided by interest expense. There is two measures ability to meet interest payments as they come due. Then we have cash debt coverage. That is earned by net cash provided by operating activities divided by average total liabilities. It is to measure a company's ability to repay its total liabilities in a given year from its operations. The next one, we have book value per share. The formula is shareholders' equity, ordinary, divided by outstanding shares. There is two measures the amount each ordinary share would receive if the company were liquidated at the amounts reported on the statement of financial position. And the last one, we have free cash flow, which is earned by net cash provided by operating activities minus capital expenditures minus cash dividends. It is to measure the amount of discretionary cash flow.